So, like I said earlier, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the whole theme of the movie is family, choosing your family, realizing more about them, and your path that is chosen for you or the one that you'd like to make for yourself. Ego is literally the embodiment of an egotistical maniac, okay? He is a living planet, a celestial, who just woke up one day and said, yes, I will become a planet. But that is not enough for me. I must expand myself across the entire universe and make everything mine. What the fuck? That is so comic booky craziness, okay? And I actually prefer this ego than the one in the actual comic books, and compared to Star-Lord's actual dad in the comics. This is way more interesting. So thank you, James Gunn, for actually combining a couple characters together and making a very original, really fun and interesting villain. And having Kurt Russell in it is fantastic. So throughout the movie, we build up this whole like grandiose, wonderful world. It's very bright, very colorful. One of the greatest, and most visually entertaining Marvel movies of all time. But Ego's whole thing, right, is showing his ego. It is very bright. It's very open. It reminds me a lot of Halo. There's a lot of Halo elements that I see here. The very bright, beautiful, and then compared to the dark and gritty that we get later. It's very set up really well. And your first time viewing, you may not necessarily think that Ego is just a front for exactly what he needs to do to seduce Star-Lord to do his bidding. Be the battery. So when you're first watching the film, you have him, he's very much like Star-Lord. He's very gravitas, he's in the clothes, he's got the ego, he's got that personality to him, he's got that flair, you know what I mean? That's all on purpose. It's all on purpose to just trick Star-Lord. Okay, it's all build up, talking about his family, playing catch with him, having the songs, talking about his mom. All of that is on purpose to separate him from the other Guardians, to separate him from his true family, from Yondu. Like we know in the film, he's part Celestial, Star-Lord, because of the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 when they're able to hold the Power Stone. That's for a certain reason. That's just not random. That means something. And so that is continuing on to this film. Because Quill is actually this survivor of the expansion, he is way more useful to Ego than anyone else. So he seduces Peter. It's a very different type of villain, just playing this role the whole time, just pulling him in right where he thinks he has him. And every great villain thinks they're doing the right thing and thinks they've won and just slips up out of nowhere. So this scene that I really enjoy is this very wide place. It is just Star-Lord, it is just Ego talking about his mother, talking about the expansion and what it really means to be a Celestial, what it means to have this power, what it really means, and what they're gonna do with this power. And I really enjoy this scene. The charisma, the wonderful back and forth between these two, the visuals, and this is one of my favorite parts of Chris Pratt's performance, is just this very somber, very emotional performance. And it's not even that much, it's just enough to get this across. And I absolutely love this dolly shot zooming in whenever it's revealed that Kurt Russell's Ego has killed Meredith Quill by putting that tumor. The very first scene we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, the very first time we saw these characters was seeing Meredith pass away, and that was all due to Ego. He did it on purpose because he was getting seduced by the fact of having a happy life, abandoning this egotistical idea of the expansion. It was a weakness for him, and that is something that makes him wrong. That is his fatal flaw, is that he can't have humanity. He is only himself, and it's so perfectly well-rounded. The performance, he's not even staring at Peter in the scene. He is just looking away at his own creation. Like, he is looking at himself other than his son. How disconnected can you be? While he's literally looking at this and turning his son into this battery, this freaking celestial monster, this humanless offspring that he could care less about. He doesn't even care. He's just flauntingly saying, I put that tumor in her head. All right, Peter, let's continue. To me, this gives off a very well done performance, a very well crafted vision. Now, I could have gone with so many different villains that are just like end of the world, like a Thanos, a Darkseid, a Steppenwolf, or, I mentioned Black Mask, or I mentioned Light Yagami. They're very cat and mouse, or they're very, very manipulative. But with Ego, he's up front. As soon as his fake fragmentation of whatever Star-Lord wants is gone, he is just a piece of shit. Blatantly, you don't have to care about your biological family. You can choose your own family. You can go down the path that you would prefer to, instead of the one that's paved out for you. You don't have to be a battery drained behind your past or your history, but you could become your own Guardians of the Galaxy with the people you choose. You could do something good, something bad, or a little bit of both, and that is okay. You don't have to go with the path that's defined for you. You can go outside of your history. You can go outside of your past and create your own future. And that is one of my favorite parts of this villain. He doesn't care. He has this fragment of humanity and he doesn't care. He can't go beyond his own celestial hubris. And that is eventually his downfall. We see this very destructive, horrifying burial of these skulls of his offspring that he's killed countless amount of times. We see the distrust, the horrible idea of how long Ego's been doing this. And it's really monumental to how the Guardians come together to fight this abusive father, this abusive figure to probably the whole galaxy. And to me, that's what makes this villain excellent. It's what makes this villain so enticing and so incredible, and that is why I love James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, I know this wasn't my best, explanation for a villain. Yes, I could have chose other ones, but I'm telling you guys, I chose this one for a certain reason, because this villain just keeps coming back to me in my mind when I think about the best villains in the MCU, the best villains in the MCU, right? And this scene in particular, the dolly zoom, the beautiful shot composition. I mean, yes, it is a CGI environment, but it is so well done. The purpose, the subtle acting between Chris Pratt and Kurt Russell, the very, it seems like direct dialogue and actions really culminate to this wonderful, true reveal of getting rid of that facade and seeing the true Ego and what that means for our characters. I thought it was really good. So we're wrapping it up here, guys. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It means a lot to me every single time I see something new on the channel. We're about to hit 1K. I would definitely appreciate if you subscribed. If not, that is okay. But once again, thank you to Nando V Movies for hopefully including this into the playlist. I very much appreciate that, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.